What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, well, just looking at a quick state of affairs here, we got Bitcoin dropping back down after a little bit of a pump back up to 27K. We're at low 26s. You got DEC trading under 800 Splintoshis. You got SPS, once again, setting new all-time lows, going under 1.9 pennies. And, of course, vouchers are sitting below 6 cents themselves. So what I wanted to talk about in this video, it has something to do with the token prices or values, but more specifically, I keep getting this question. Somebody wanted me to do a "Is Splinterlands Dying 2.0" video since I'd done one like about maybe a year ago or something, maybe like 6 months ago. This isn't quite that, but I do want to focus on if I believe Splinterlands can survive with a relatively small player base. And we'll just say 1,000, maybe a couple of thousand if we're lucky. I don't know. But the point is, I actually do believe Splinterlands can survive for several reasons. And the first one that I'm going to bring up, if anybody is aware of Kevin Kelly's essay, 1,000 True Fans, I do think that that applies in certain cases here. Now, the good thing, and for a quick overview of that, it's the idea that any artist, creator, company can technically survive, right? If they are not just survive, but essentially thrive, if they have like 1,000 true hardcore fans that are willing to spend X amount of dollars on them every single year. Now, obviously, how many people you need and what amount you need to get them to spend will be determined by the amount of value that you bring, right? So it's all about like, can you bring them X amount of value? And if you have that many people paying you that much value every year, then you can make 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it is for your business, for your company, right? It was more focused on like individuals, but I do believe it can apply to smaller businesses as well. So my point being with using that as a baseline is that just in theory, it works, in my opinion. It can definitely work. And so there's obviously a very strong base of people here within Splinterlands. Now, this bear market has been brutal, and we've seen a lot of, what I thought were going to be hardcore folks leave the space or become completely disengaged, sell off their assets, and maybe just hold a couple of things here and there, rent their cards out, bought their account, whatever the case is. So I wouldn't say that those people would be part of the true hardcore fans, because they would need to be in turn spending a little bit more, or at least being active and engaging with the platform, right, in ways that can benefit the company and keep the company afloat. So that being said, what's really cool is that Splinterlands is also, in addition to this, finding ways through partnerships and through, just all the stuff that they're doing to make other, to increase revenue in other ways, or more specifically, cut down costs, right? And Aggie has talked about that in several town halls, even brought on some folks from the ops team, I think, to talk about it on the town halls as well. So where am I going with all this? Well, can the game survive? 100%. I don't think that there's any doubt that the game can survive, even just on like a bare bones crew if needed, even on just a bare bones community of people who find value in what is being put out and want to still be a part of the ecosystem. And if you look at even something like the cereal sale, just understand that I don't know how many individuals bought, but there were still 4,000, almost 5,000 of this promo card that most people genuinely didn't seem to like or thought was overpriced that were still bought, right? So, and a lot of people are still happy with their purchases. So take that for what it is. My point with this overall is, yes, they can survive. That I don't think is an issue. And after the layoffs last year, I think everybody felt a lot better about the company overall. Yeah, obviously there was still a little bit of uncertainty. There's even some anxiety now that, that we don't know how long and how extended and how deep this bear market can go. But with Splinterlands, at least the company, I think we all feel relatively confident that they can survive. The question then becomes, can Splinterlands thrive with a smaller group of people? And I would say that the answer is yes, but there's a lot of caveats here. And the answer would be yes in more of like a vacuum, right? In a vacuum, or in theory, because what we have to factor in, unfortunately, in the real world is the fact that many of the assets are obviously overinflated due to the fact that the player base was thought to be much, much higher than it was, much lower now than it was when a lot of these tokens and assets were created, right? SPS, vouchers, Chaos Legion packs, all these different things. We've seen the player base dwindle, and we have seen, I guess, just the real number of people that are still actively engaging versus however much is out there. So we can't necessarily change that now, but the idea becomes, well, can the folks in Splinterlands continue to thrive without us getting new players into the game? And I think it would be incredibly naive for me to come on here and say, no, obviously not, right? In the long run, you want this to be a project that grows and attracts new people, not in a Ponzi scheme-ish way, but in a way that the company continues to grow, delivers better and better products, and we get more people into the ecosystem. More demand, limited supply of assets means that the demand on those assets goes up. The value of those assets goes up. And what I'm talking about, I suppose, is specifically SPS, because that's where a major part of my focus has been recently. As cards are cool, but cards are just for me to play the game. I really don't like them. I call them an inflationary or infinitely inflationary asset class. And while some cards are cool, some cards aren't. It's just like, you don't need everything to play the game. You don't even need everything to be good at the game. For example, I've been able to make it to Champion a couple times, Champion 3, with my primarily gold level deck with a couple of maxed out reward cards and a couple of maxed out summoners. But, on the whole, a lot of my monsters are still under leveled. But I digress. So taking this back to SPS and where the focus is on this, well, obviously there's a lot of SPS out there too. There's 3 billion SPS out in the ecosystem, and I don't know what's the quick math on this. I know I'm gonna get screwed over in the numbers, but if you do divide 3 billion times, let's say we have 1,000 players here, that's a lot of SPS per person, right? So it's not it's not something that I think in the long run obviously would be ideal. But the point is, if we can get to a place where we start to feel the scarcity of SPS and we start to see the utility of SPS, even with 500 to 1,000 players here actively playing, I do think that there could be a moment in which asset values could start to go up. Now, the fun thing to watch, and I don't know if fun is the right adjective, but the fun thing to watch would be, where do people start to sell off? For example, if SPS jumps up to 3, 4, 5 cents, how much sell pressure are we going to see? If SPS jumps up to 10 cents, how much sell pressure are we going to see? I think there's a lot of folks that are still waiting for SPS or hoping that SPS will hit $1 when, at this point in time, a $3 billion market cap token for a very small game on a niche blockchain, I don't see that happening. We'd have to get stupid money back in. And there's an argument to be made that stupid money never will come back in the same way that it did in 2021 with all of the tightening, with everything that's happening. But that being said, we're not going to look at this from a macro, at least not too much. Hopefully they do end up printing money and we'll be good to go at some point in the next few, maybe decade. But at least for now, with SPS, that should really be the goal. Trying to find a way to make SPS as scarce as possible, and figure out a way where even if you only have 1,000 players, those 1,000 players want to be earning as much SPS as possible. They want to be staking and holding as much SPS as possible. This is why I really like the Vruz promo that the SPS proposal, or the DAO, put together. Sorry, the DAO. We voted on it through the DAO. This is something that was put together by the community and voted as approved. So I'm hoping that we can find creative ways to add value to the SPS token, add utility to the SPS token. I'm hoping that the team with the SPS staking requirements, and I'm not really quite sure what else they have coming down the roadmap for SPS specifically, but with DEC, obviously that's the other one that has a massive overhang from the 2021 bull run, but a lot of the DEC utility is now extended in through as SPS utility too, because every time DEC is needed and then burned, once we get to a good spot here, and we're down at 4.75 billion DEC overall, or at least overall on Hive, once we get down to a good level, we will start to see people burn SPS. It's just, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get there, and I don't know what the demand is going to look like and how much SPS is actually going to be burned, if it's going to be enough of a dent to slow the bleeding, or obviously in our wildest dreams, stop the bleeding and actually actually create some scarcity. But that's where my focus has been on this. I do think that it is possible, but if we do stay at just 1,000 players or however many we have, 500 players, 1,000 players, real players here in the game, yeah, it's going to take a while, but it's definitely possible. And I think the important thing is that right now the team is focused on other ways of generating revenue so that it doesn't all need to come from the same 500 or 1,000 people. We can actually focus in on delivering awesome quality products, awesome quality features within the game, gameplay and all that to the community, and that the community can turn around, engage in that, have fun, find value and entertainment with it, and then stay and be a part of the community, stay and be a part of the game, and continue to ride out this bear market as long as it will last, right? But that's where my head is at on all of this. I don't know how low SPS goes. I don't know how low DEC goes. I don't know how much DEC we need to burn, although I'll say it's probably still in the billions before we actually feel anything specific. You know me, I'm in a bearish mood right now, so I've been saying that I don't think that even land is going to do what people think it's going to do. I think we will have to wait for a market turnaround. We will have to wait, land 1.5, guild, rebellion, whatever it is. I don't think any of that is going to be able to overcome the bear market. Not because I'm throwing shade at the team, but because we have not seen any single project. And as I'm doing my research now, there are a lot of phenomenal projects out there with great teams too. So there's a lot of people working really hard to try to counteract the bear market that we are currently in. And it's difficult. It is very, very difficult. So obviously, Splinterlands is in a tough spot because everything's overinflated anyway. So not only do we have to overcome the bear market, but we have to overcome our own, what I call the paying for the sins of the SPS airdrop, right? We have to overcome that, the DEC overhang, the massive amount of SPS we have without the utility that we need, vouchers. Let's not even get into it. So ultimately, there's a lot that we're fighting against, but I do think that we can get through it. And that's the important thing. I do think that we can get through it. I do think that the game can survive. I do think the game can maybe even thrive, depending on how long this bear market lasts, right? If we go for another 2-3 years of this Great Depression style, I think the game will be fine. I think the company will be okay. And I think at that point in time, let's say this bear market goes another 2-3 years, we might actually start to feel the scarcity of SPS. Now, we would have all hopefully become SPS millionaires by that time, right? Because we've just been accumulating the entire time. But again, I'm getting way off on the deep end here and speculating too far out into the future. My point is that we can survive. That's never, I don't want to say it's never been in doubt, but it's definitely not as much in doubt as it was in the past. It's about the thriving. And while it's going to be very difficult to thrive right now, I do think that it is possible over the next couple of years. And I'm assuming worst case scenario, right? Usually the bullish side of me says, Bitcoin halving is coming next year. We're going to get a bull run afterwards. Let's screw that. Let's just say it's not even going to happen. Let's just say the Bitcoin halving doesn't even matter. And right now we are just going to see just massive upheavals in all sectors, macroeconomic sectors, and it's just going to be garbage for the next couple of years. Well, I can still see us surviving and maybe even thriving towards the end of that as we get further and further into the SPS distribution phase, because at some point, the sell pressure will have to stop because DEC is no longer infinite. So it's just a matter of eating through the DEC, and it's just a matter of incentivizing people to buy, hold, stake SPS, and we will get there. Whether it takes 6 months, 3 years, I don't know, but I do think that we'll get there. So, do what you got to do. Get your head ready for that 3-year time frame. I guess I've moved up now from 2 years. We're going up to 3-year time frame. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. I'm obviously still continuing to accumulate. This is a great time to do so. And SPS is one of my favorite things. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm going to close out the video by saying this is not financial advice. I am not buying any SPS. I'm just playing the damn game and getting it as a reward, and it feels good. It feels good. So that's all I have for you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know this was a little bit more wide-ranging than I intended it for it to be, but I would love to know if you've heard of the 1,000 True Fans and if you think that it could apply to something like this. And then when you overlay that on where you see the team going through their partnerships, through their actions, through their roadmap, I'm curious to know if you feel the same way as I do about the future of Splinterlands. But that is all I have. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.